Did you know that Jesus was the original New Testament deconstructionist? I'll tell you about it in today's InspireU. One of the places we see Jesus deconstructing the religion of his inheritance and his heritage is in Luke chapter 4 of the Gospels. In this story, we start with Jesus going into the desert to have an emotional work experience to really find out his identity and who he is. And the Bible talks about it as this wrestling match with Satan, with evil, to really feel out what his humanity is like and where to go. And this embodiment of evil that the Bible calls Satan says, hey, you're hungry. If you have this supernatural connection with heaven, why don't you change these rocks to bread and eat them? And Jesus quotes his scripture, the Torah, the Jewish sacred text, and says, Scripture says, man doesn't live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. That's our English translation. And if you break down the Greek from which that passage comes, it doesn't say every word that proceeded from the mouth of God when the Bible was written, but it says live by every word that is proceeding from the mouth of God. That Jesus was saying there is revelation from heaven always forthcoming that we have to be listening for. And Jesus was inspired by that time in the desert, we're told in Luke chapter 4. And he goes into his hometown of Nazareth and goes into the temple. And he's just known as the carpenter boy there in town, as Joseph's helpmate in the carpenter shop. And all of a sudden, Jesus unrolls the scroll and he reads from Isaiah 61 of the Jewish sacred text. And he reads these passages out and says, sort of, this is my mission statement. He says, the Spirit of the Lord is on me. I'm anointed to bring good news to the poor, to proclaim captives to be released into freedom, that the blind will see and the oppressed will be set free, and that this is the time of the Lord's favor. And then he rolls up the scroll and puts it away. If we were to read from Isaiah 61, that passage that Jesus was quoting, we would see that he left out one part of that passage. And that passage ends in Isaiah 61 with, and the year of the Lord's vengeance. Why did Jesus leave off the statement about the Lord's vengeance and end with the year of the Lord's favor? Because he was deconstructing a religion, a beautiful Jewish religion that was about community and love for one another and care for the poor, that had become hard-hearted and now was becoming a rule-based religion that says, follow our rules and you're good, don't follow our rules and you're bad. And so Jesus was deconstructing the religion of his heritage, and you and I today are in a space where our religion, a beautiful community-based, communing with God and with each other religion, loving God and loving our neighbor as ourselves, has been turned into a list of rules. Don't support abortion, don't be gay, don't make a wedding cake for a gay marriage, and made it into that list of rules. And we are deconstructing it. We are saying something doesn't feel right about that when we read the story of a Jesus that said, live from the progressive revelation from the mouth of God to know what's happening in this season, and to be the ones then to go out from that word and not put rules on people, but to set them free from the oppression of religion and shame and the bondage of being told you're not as good as we are. So if you're worried about deconstructing, am I doing something wrong? Is God mad at me? Let me inspire you with this today. God is not mad at you, and you just happen to be following the example of Jesus, the original deconstructionist. Hope you're inspired today. Please take time to look at my website, pastor-paul.com, and check out the ways you can subscribe and support our work, and also join our DeconU mentorship program.